Where's my song?
It ain't hard to see all that's going wrong. I know it's far too easy now to sing sad songs. To sing sad songs. Yeah. Lying on the ground.
I gotta start with music because music makes me so happy. Right? Thank you guys. I could keep listening to that song, and you guys are jamming to it too, right? Anybody else music makes you happy? How about the Big Love Band? Speaking of music, we got guitar solos and drum solos going on up here. It's amazing stuff. How many of you are happy all the time? Awesome. All right, we got a few. I'm going to follow you around and test you on that. How many of you believe them? I mean, it might be true, though. It might be true. It might be true. They might be doing some of the things that I'm going to talk about with you today. But when we think about happiness, what do you guys think about? This is an all play, by the way. What do you think about? Did you say coffee? Coffee? Choice? Laughter? Love? Crackers? Practice? A new puppy? A good night's sleep. Oh, I had a good night's sleep last night. I needed that. Food? Music and dancing, absolutely. Dawn, oh, thanks. Spirit, absolutely. Nobody said this one, I'm surprised, but I think about babies. Are you guys thinking about babies now? But you also might think about this line right here. Has anybody ever heard this? Don't be a baby. Don't be a baby. Stop being a baby. Has anybody heard that before? And what are they talking about? They. Stop crying, stop whining. Right? And, oh, the baby. The sad little baby. Now, what's interesting, though, about babies is once they get what they need, they're happy again. They're happy again. I was a photographer. I did a lot of things in my life, as you all know. I was a photographer at JCPenney for 5 years, my senior year in high school, and all 4 years of college. And there were a lot of babies that came in there. And there was a lot of crying babies that came in there. They were scared. It's a dark room, and I've got like this camera that's moving up and down, and the backgrounds are changing. And all I needed was like a box and Elmo popping out, and they're like, ah, snap. Like, oh, I forgot, I was scared. I didn't even remember that anymore. Why do babies cry? Babies cry as a way to communicate their needs to caregivers, usually because they are hungry, tired, uncomfortable, like a dirty diaper, in pain, too hot or cold, overstimulated, or simply need attention and reassurance. And then once that's good, then they're fine. Babies do not go, well, she brought the bottle now, but she took her long enough. Next time I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to tell her all about it. Remember last time you didn't bring me the bottle? It took you 5 minutes? Babies don't do that, do they? Do they? They don't. They do not. Okay, let's look at this happy picture. Look at the happy baby. So even though there's this saying, don't be a baby, I say, be a baby. Be a baby. Be a baby in the way of just Let it go, move on, be happy. You can choose. You said choice. You can choose happiness. So the art of happiness is what I'm talking about today. And this month's theme is all about, hey, we talk a lot about the science of mind, but then there's this art side of it too. And if you even think of studies, I was thinking about this actually today in meditation. I wasn't even thinking about talking about this. But so my degree is in education, but what's really unique about my degree, I did not know this at the time, but most education degrees are Bachelor of Arts. Mine was a Bachelor of Science. I really don't know the difference because I didn't get the other one. So I don't know. I only have the Bachelor of Science, but I do know that I have been very curious about science. So even though we're going to be talking about the art, and I'm going that direction, I want to kind of lay some foundation about the science. So what happens around 2 years old, and that can change for the individual, is that our ego starts to develop. And by the way, there's 9 stages, and then there's like this 10th stage that just may be coming out on the ego. A lot of stages. And we're not going to go over those today because this is not a psychology class or a human growth and development class, but just know there's these many stages. So the ego starts to develop at 2 years old, and what starts to happen is that we realize our separateness. But we know the truth is we're not. But our ego starts to tell us, oh, I'm not really attached to my mom. I was at one point, right? But I'm not. And she's over there, and those kids are over there, and that's mine. And so we start to learn how to protect ourselves, because up until this point, still at this point at 2 years old, hopefully, 2-year-olds are still being protected by their family. They're being fed and they're being, housed and clothed and things. But that's when this starts to develop, around that age, where we start to develop these things in our mind to protect ourselves, physically and emotionally. So this is an NLP communication model, and NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. But I love this model because, very briefly, I'm just going to kind of explain how this works. So do I have a little dotty thing that I can use? No, I don't have a dotty thing. Okay, imagine I was pointing over to external event. Okay, so things are coming into our mind, and we are taking all of these in through our 5 senses. And if you can't read that tiny print, it says 2 million bits of information. In order for us to process that much information, we filter it. We filter it based on, we generalize things, we delete information, I don't need that information, we distort things, we exaggerate things. Anybody feel like does this resonate with you? Okay, we do all these things, so then now we have 5 to 9 chunks of information, which sounds a little bit more digestible, right? And then we come up with this internal representation. What does that mean? That's like an internal picture idea in our mind about what's happening here. We're making some decisions, judgments, stories, fill in the blank. And then that causes a state of emotion, how we're feeling about that picture. Based on that state, we have a physiology. Everybody show me sadness. Show me sadness. Oh, very good. Yeah, I'm seeing all of this, right? Like drop shoulders. Show me anger. Right? Oh, I like tension. Right? Show me happiness. Yeah. Ooh. Right? So, and then there's all these variances, not just those 3, right? There's all these, and so there's this physiology that happens, and based on that, we have a behavior that comes out. Now, the behavior is important to remember when we notice our own behaviors and other people's behaviors. It's not who they really are. It's just because of this thing that just happened for them, right? And so when we think of happiness, it's that state. Now, look at the meta programs in the middle. I don't know if you can see all those. It says values, beliefs, values and beliefs. So the filters are based on our past experiences, what's happened before, the beliefs that we've created, the beliefs of our family, the beliefs of our culture, the beliefs of our society, the beliefs of our religion, our values. We're figuring out what our values are, even if we're not naming them consciously. So based on all of these things, the things that are important to us, that's how we're filtering things. So when things are coming in, we're like, our mind is just automatically like, that doesn't belong because it doesn't fit my belief. So I don't see it. Right? Okay. So there are these saboteurs. This is from Positive Intelligence. There are these 9 saboteurs, and then the judge. Everybody has the judge. And I'm just going to leave it here for a moment so you guys can take a moment to read all of these. These are all the different ways that we get in our own way. There is a test if you want to find out what your top ones are. You just look at Positive Intelligence, and you can find out what yours are. But the thing is about these is they are trying to help you. Remember when we talked about when you're a baby? These are trying to help you stay safe, right? Physically and emotionally, okay? And so the judge is the master saboteur. Everybody has that one first, and then you've got these other ones that are accomplices. So let's talk a little bit about the judge. First of all, we judge ourselves. What are some judgments, critiques that you make about yourself? How do you criticize yourself? Not enough blank. The way you look. You're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too tall, you're too short. I should have. Or I shouldn't.
You'll always be stuck in a situation, and you the thought of, I can't get out of this, so this is just how it always is.
This is how it always is. I can't get out of this. I'm stuck. I'm going to be here forever. If only. If only this would happen, then I would be happy. Poor me. Ooh, that's that victim coming in. Yeah. So when we think about these judgments, we don't often get underneath of those and how it's really trying to help us. So what's one that we can use? Let's see. Well, for the overachiever is another hyperachiever. What was one of the last ones you said? If only, so like give me an example. If only what? If only you practice more, then what would that give you?
I would be better at what I do and people would acknowledge me.
Okay, so good. So we're going down this track. Can we keep going? So if only I would practice more, then I would be better, then people would acknowledge me. And if people acknowledge you, what would that give you?
Money in my pocket.
No, so this is just for Ralph. This is not an all play. This is only Ralph. Okay, so when you have acknowledgement, what does that give you?
Satisfaction?
And when you have satisfaction, what does that give you?
Happiness?
And when you have happiness, what does that give you?
Contentment?
And when you have true contentment, what does that give you?
Peace?
And when you have peace, what does that give you?
That's enough.
So what I just taught you is something that you can do anytime you're having a self-criticism. Keep asking yourself and keep digging. You're going to get to either peace or love, usually, is what it comes down to. Those God qualities. Because underneath of that is the truth. Underneath of it is the truth. Now let's talk about how we judge others, shall we? What are some judgments we have of other people? Nobody in this room, but like, somebody else maybe. What are some judgments we have of other people? They don't show up? They don't shut up. Mister, just shut up. They don't know what they're talking about. That's a great judgment.
You're in my space.
You're in my space. Get out of my space.
I can't believe they wore that.
I can't believe they wore that. Who do they think they are walking around in that outfit? I can't believe they said that. They must be crazy saying that. I would never say that.
They need to go back to school. My dad used to say that all the time.
They need to go back to school. They're not educated enough.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
What did their parents teach them? They were raised very interestingly. And this is all based on, again, our values and beliefs that we're projecting onto them. Now, if we use that same tool, right, that same little trick I told you, it's like, they need to be educated. Okay, let's go with that. Will you play with me? Sure. Okay, so they need to be educated. When they get educated, what does that give you?
A degree.
No, what does it give you?
Gives me that I can have a conversation with them and it's not going to be awkward.
Okay, so that you can feel comfortable having a conversation with them. And when you can feel comfortable having a conversation with them, what does that give you?
Gives me satisfaction. Oh, that other people will be like this, so I'm less likely to say, go back to school or you stupid clueless idiot.
Okay, so you feel like if you could have a comfortable conversation with people, then you would not be so judgy. And so judgy. And when you're not judgy and grouchy, what does that give you?
It makes you more at peace and it makes you able to
It makes
the situation.
you. I'm asking you.
Yeah, no.
It gives you more peace?
It gives me more peace. My wife says I'm less snarky and I'm less likely to.
So, and when you have more peace, what does that give you?
I'm happier, and it means if something weird's going to come at me the next time, I can handle it better.
Okay. And we can keep going through this cycle. So he got back to peace.
Yeah.
You can try this with anything. It's going to be something like love or peace or ultimate bliss or like everything, like just these words that just really are just coming back to God. So I want to give you these tools because this part is the art. This is how we can be creative. And we're not going to make our judge wrong. We're going to embrace it. I love this very simple quote, no mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. Yes, ma'am.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
Can I ask the big question?
I will do my best.
Why would one rely on somebody else to bring them to peace?
We're not relying. What we're doing is we're noticing that that's our pattern. That's the ego's pattern, right? And it's trying to protect us, but it's helping us in the moment remember the truth. So when we catch ourselves in those judgments, we don't want to stay there, right? Remember, the baby doesn't stay there. The baby's like, okay, I got my thing, let me move on. But we tend to pitch a tent. I'm going to camp out here until they get themselves an education so we can have a conversation so I can have some peace. Do you see how silly that sounds? But it is what we do, right? So instead, let me get to peace first, and I don't need them to go get their education. I'm going to realize, okay, well, what I really need is peace, so let me go figure out how to do that, because that's on me. Does that answer your question? Yes, okay. Thank you. So no mud, no lotus. We really want to embrace this part of ourselves because it's helping us. And there is a reason why we have this ego, I believe. This is my belief. You can take it or leave it. I don't care. That if we didn't, then how would we get to this consciousness of remembering who we are? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yes. Babies are just, they're just being, right? They're just being, they're just it. They're just in their God selves just floating along, right? But if that ego didn't come through and we didn't get to have these conversations, right? And go through these stages, would we ever even, like, do animals sit around and think about, I wonder if I'm like part of nature in some way, like God, you know? Like if I'm one with God. They don't have I don't think they have those conversations. They don't have those thoughts. So we get to sit around and judge each other until we figure it out. No mud, no lotus. So where does the judge hang out? We know happiness hangs out in the state area, right? And so if we can change our state from frustrated that they don't have an education and I can't have a good conversation and now I'm going to let them have it, right? My behavior. Let me get to happy. How can I do that? And I go back. Where's the judge, do you think, in this? The meta programs. It's happening right there where the filters are coming in. So we really have to catch ourselves quick. We have to catch ourselves quick, give ourselves a timeout, pause, and say, you know what? This narrow pathway that I've been walking down this whole time, that's like this deep groove, and when it rains, the water just goes right through it. There's no grass that grows there. It's so easy to just walk down that path. Now I have to get my machete out, and I have to start cutting down the grass and the trees over here because I want to go this way. So the art, this is the science, this is how it works. The art is making a new choice because that is something else we can do. Babies don't. If they're sad, they're sad. If they're in pain, they're in pain. If they're hungry, they're hungry. They're not making these decisions. So we are choosing to I'm just going to pitch this tent. I'm just going to stay here. Or we're choosing to go back and figure out what's really going on here and where do I need to make a change. Yeah? Following? Oh, forward. There we go. We use the place where we fall to help us stand up. This is another great one. We use the place where we fall to help us stand up, similar to the no mud, no lotus. I think about that. Think about I love to visualize things. I was like, I just fell down. Like, how would I get back up if the sidewalk wasn't still there for me to push myself back up? Right? So we use that place where we fall, whether that's to teach us lessons or whatever, and embrace all of it. We need all of it. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is being present. So this is how we can use that art, right? Use that choice. So this is the definition that I found of present. There's as an adjective, existing or occurring now. Where are we when we're judging? In the past. And hallucinating. We're not here. Or sometimes we're in the past, judging based on these past experiences, blah, 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 all these values, and we're thinking about how it's going to be in the future based on the past. Right? If only I could get this thing, then in the future I could be happy. Again, we could do it right now. Right? And so I want to, this is a mindfulness exercise that you have maybe done before. And if you have, great, do it again with us. Because you're going to be coming into it a different way. Now, I want you to be coming into this exercise with these thoughts in your mind of how can I use this? And how can I do it right now so that I remember to use it in the moment? So when you can catch yourself and pause, and just real quick, this doesn't take very long. We're going to go through the different senses. And I know these are small words, but if you want to take a picture, I'm leaving it up there so you can take a picture of it. I wanted it to be up there for you. The first one is, I want you to look around, and I want you to notice 5 things, just in your own mind. You don't need to tell your neighbor what they are. Just notice 5 things that you see. Describing what they look like in your own mind, the color, the shape. Five things that you see. And once you've done that, I want you to identify 4 things just near you that you can touch and feel. It might be your skin. It might be, this is a really great one, rubbing your thumb and your finger together so softly that you can feel the ridges on both fingertips. Maybe it's your clothing and just noticing the texture. Maybe it's the seat you're sitting on. And once you've done that, 3 things, notice I did 5, 4, 3 things you can hear. Might be close sounds or far away sounds, and I'll stop talking so you can find 3 things that you can hear. And now 2 things that you can smell. Yes, it's okay to smell your neighbor. I saw that happening. Smell yourself. Yeah, smell your coffee. And then lastly, think of one thing that you can taste, and it may just be your saliva. So this is a quick and easy way. It takes just a couple minutes to do this, to get yourself back here in this present moment, because you can't be anywhere else when you do these things. You're right here, right now. And then you can start to think about empathizing with whether you're judging yourself or judging someone else. Empathize with yourself, empathize with that person. Can I think of anything else that might be going on here? Can I create some different viewpoints? That's my favorite thing to do. What else could be going on here? Let me go there first before my mind is going down this other way, which is a story that I created based on my values and beliefs and blah, 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 that might not be true and probably isn't. Let me create something else until I know the truth. And the truth is that we are all God, right? And then taking action differently. I'm going to go down the other way. I'm going to keep walking down this way until this is the easy path. And this no longer has grass growing on it. It's easy for me to walk down this path of being a baby, getting right back to happiness. Because we might not be happy about said situation, but we can still be happy. Do you see the difference? We can still be happy. And so, here's your call to action. Catch your judge. Catch it. And by the way, you can catch your judge with some humor. Okay? Catch your judge in a way that if you want to name your judge, by the way, I sat with myself and I was like, what's the name of my judge? Bertha came up. So, of course, I had to look up, what does Bertha mean? Bertha actually is like enlightened one or something like that. And I was like, oh, thank you, Judge, my enlightened one, helping me reach my enlightenment, right? So anyway, you can figure out whatever and be like, oh, there you are again, Bertha, right? We can just name it, call it out. Call it out. Thanks, Bertha. Heard ya. Right? We can play a game with it like, ooh, I caught ya. I won. You know, one more point for me. We can say it in a funny way like, oh, that guy should go get an education and then I can feel better about talking to him. We laugh at ourselves when we do, right? So like making fun of it. Make it a fun little game to catch your judge. Love all of you. Right? These are not, like, there's so often we're like, oh, the ego is bad and it's trying to destroy me. No, it's actually trying to help you. So just remember that. And we also don't have to go down that road. We can remember the truth of who we are and be present. Be present. And so our affirmation today is, I am enough. I am love. So everybody say those two phrases there. I am enough. I am love. And if you are open and willing, let's take this into prayer. I just invite you to close your eyes. Just basking in this joy that we have created here today. We're sitting in today. That joy is God. Knowing that God is all that is, that we are one with it, that our true nature is God's nature, which is love and peace and joy and all of those juicy God characteristics. We know what it feels like when we remember. And we are doing that right now, remembering the baby in us that easily floats to happiness, to whatever emotion is coming up, and doesn't park there, doesn't pitch a tent there, just allows it to flow. It doesn't feel guilty. It just moves back into happiness so easily, without judgment. And if it feels good, wrap your arms around yourselves and just hug yourself. Hug that baby self of you. Hug the adult self of you. Let all those parts of you just come together right now in the wholeness. All of you. Everything that you are. Knowing that all of those parts are here to support you on this journey. And that everyone is on their own journey, and that is okay. and you are okay. You are enough. And so is everyone else. Everybody say, I am enough. And with the most heartfelt gratitude, I release these words, knowing they are done. It is so. I am love, and so it is. Thank you.